means that we treat patients and family as a whole. So we have a holistic approach at St. Jude, from everything to dental services to psychological care from child life specialists at the hospital, to continuing a child's school and education while they're there to make sure that they can keep learning and they don't fall behind, to everything from hosting, those life events that kids would normally miss out on if they were still back at home or they were still going to school. Like St. Jude Prom, we make sure that the kids have a teen formal every year to ensure that they don't miss out on that experience that they would get back home, to try to keep their life as normal as possible while they're there. And then third, as the research institution, St. Jude conducts more clinical trials for childhood cancer than any other children's hospital. We're also the first hospital to make a major investment in pediatric cancer genome sequencing to unlock the secrets of childhood cancer. And then in addition, like you mentioned, St. Jude sharing its research. St. Jude freely shares it with any doctors, any scientists worldwide. They have access to this information, so that they can use that treatment for children everywhere. So around the globe, anybody has access to this research and these protocols, which means that patients, even right here in our local communities are if they're not even being treated at St. Jude, they're probably being treated with, those protocols and that research that's came out of St. Jude. So it's truly a hospital that helps, I think, everyone. One fact too I like to share is that St. Jude invented the flu shot. So even something as simple, I think a lot of people think that it's just childhood cancer. There's a lot of things that come out of that wonderful research that's done at St. Jude, and just so happen to be sometimes like those awesome things that end up helping everybody else too.
That's wonderful. So how big is St. Jude? How many people, how many children and families, how many can you help? And, even where are you?
Yeah, so there is just one hospital, and that's in Memphis, Tennessee. But St. Jude does treat patients from all 50 states across the globe. We do have some partner clinics that help see our patients too. So we see just over 8,000 inpatient visits to St. Jude every year. So although we don't have that kind of space at the hospital, we save that space for the children that really need that 24-hour around-the-clock care. Because what's unique about St. Jude too is that we don't have an emergency room. So you can't just walk into St. Jude and have a broken arm or have some sort of emergency issue. It's children that go to their local hospitals. And then they're referred to St. Jude because their local hospitals can no longer help them. They can't treat them, or they're just not sure what to do. And they know that St. Jude would probably be able to help them a lot better than they could. So really we take, the worst cases of children that are suffering from these catastrophic diseases and see how we can help them. So there is one hospital, but like I said, we treat patients all 50 states around the world, even right here in our local communities, all across the globe and the country.
It would seem somebody that would work with St. Jude, like yourself, and be employed by this has to go beyond just being a job. This isn't something that you go out and say, hey, I need to get a job and I'll go work here. I mean, is there the community that drives St. Jude of employees? Would you say that this is a community of passion, a community of love?
Yes, I think it's really wonderful to work somewhere where everyone is driving towards that same mission. I think a lot of times that's not the case, and you don't see that. And you have a reason to get up and do this every day. It makes it worthwhile. So even if you feel like you're having a bad day, at the end of the day, you can look back and think that the kids are going through more, they're suffering through more. So I think that's what drives us every day too. And it's a sense of community. We're all driving towards the same mission. And it really is like a family. And even with our supporters, I think you all become a part of this big St. Jude family. And we joke often that once you drink the St. Jude Kool-Aid, then you're stuck. And once you're supporting, once you're involved with the hospital, I think you end up being involved forever, just because the mission is so wonderful and so powerful, and you see what your support does and what it provides, that you can't stop after that. So yes, it's like we're like a big family, and it's wonderful to see everybody fighting towards the same cause.
So how long have you been with St. Jude?
I have been there about a year and a half. So I started January of 2019.
So in your time there, what's been your favorite memory? What's been your favorite experience by being a part of St. Jude?
I've had a lot, Chad, so that's hard to narrow down. But I will say, last summer, I was at the hospital, because we get to go down to the hospital occasionally. And last summer, while I was there, helping provide some tours of the hospital, because we allow people to come in on scheduled tours and take them through and show them the hospital. But while I was there, I got to witness at a stop that I was at, kind of directing people and helping them through. I got to witness a patient and their family coming through with all their stuff packed up. Their wagon, their red wagon that the kids get to ride on through the hospital, was all packed up with just bags of clothes and things, and kind of made you wonder what was going on. And then next thing I know, I see what looked like probably a 5 or 6 year old just arms up and just celebrating, yay, just screaming and shouting. And they were getting to go home. So they had their no more chemo party, and they were getting to go home. And I think that was kind of the moment where you realize kind of everything that you worked for is coming true, and you get to see it. We see the videos, we see the success stories, and then I finally got to see that in person, and it just was an overwhelming sense of just all these feelings. I think that was probably the highlight so far, is just seeing all that you strive for, those moments that you work for, because you want to provide those moments to every single patient that's treated there, that finally come true. So that was probably that's been my highlight so far.
So a lot of people have a passion for St. Jude. They have a passion for your mission. Groups like ours who just want to raise money to help you. There are people that volunteer. You get celebrity endorsements. There's a lot there's a lot of support that's given to your community. How, if somebody like me, so I give money, and then I just kind of like walk away. I don't really hear about it necessarily. How would I know? How could I find out how my money is being used?
Well, there's many, even resources that we provide, like at stjude.org. We share a lot of that information, and just like letting people know what their gifts can provide. Everything from, $36 donation can feed a family for a day at St. Jude. All the way up to, and even beyond this, but like it takes $1,000 and just over $1,400 on average to provide a day of chemotherapy at St. Jude. And I think when people hear those things, it helps validate kind of what they're doing. I think sometimes we don't realize how much it actually takes to fund the hospital, to keep the hospital going, to ensure that we can continue the mission of, providing the treatment for free, providing the housing for free, providing the travel for free while they're there. But, we constantly try to send out, our supporters information on what their money is going towards and what their donations are going towards, even as far as research and sharing those new research discoveries that we come up with often. So we try to keep that top of mind. Unless you opt out of phone calls or emails or all that good stuff, we always try to keep you informed about what your donations and what your support's going towards.
That's wonderful. We've talked before, and I got involved with this really just by deciding, hey, I'm going to do something with St. Jude. I didn't really even tell you guys until I just sent you some money. But if somebody wanted to be more proactive and reach out to you and develop a partnership, they want to do their own fundraising, whether it's like we do through gaming events, or they want to do it another way, how would they reach out to you and start to form that partnership?
Yeah. Well, I think as easy as, I mean, you can get involved pretty easily on our website at the stjude.org website. We have actually a section on there where it's called Get Involved for that reason. And then we have so many different programs, so many different ways that people can support too. And we like to have all those different options, because if it's like gaming that you love to do gaming, you're passionate about that, and you want to find a way to support St. Jude through that, that's great. We want to try to help you, provide a platform or resources to help you do that. And like I said, we do all different types of programs, from radio, television. We work with our colleges. I mean, we work from little bitty kids that are raising money in elementary schools all the way up to, all of our organizations, like our ESA, fraternity group that raises money for St. Jude. So it's everybody in between that. But really just, reaching out to your local St. Jude office, which that information is pretty easy to find too at the stjude.org website. Just reaching out, and we're always happy to help, and we're always happy to work with you. And if you got even a crazy idea, just bring it to us. We love that. The crazier the better sometimes, within legal regards, of course. But we love that. We love hearing ideas from people, and we love new partnerships, especially when people reach out to us and say that they want to help, they want to support. That's such a wonderful thing, that because somebody's willing and they want to help. In that regard. So yes, reaching out to your local St. Jude office, you can do it on a quick Google search, or like I said, stjude.org, or Chad, I know you have my information. So if anybody was interested in getting involved with us too, please reach out, because we love that. We love to hear from our supporters or potential supporters.
I really love that you spelled out and pointed out that $1,400 can give a child a chemo treatment for a day, because at this point in our telethon, we've raised around $15,000 from just this telethon. So that puts into perspective that we can give a child like 10 or 11 days of chemo. I mean, this is literally treatment that could save that child's life, and it's really wonderful to get that perspective, to know what we're doing that could really truly make a difference, and that really impacts me, and that really helps me to feel like to really feel like I can see where this is going and see who this is helping.
Yeah.
This is. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah. I want you all to know. I want to reiterate just truly how much your support really does help. And like I said, you got what you guys are doing is amazing in itself. But the fact that, like I said, the money that you guys are raising for these kids ensures that really they get this for free. And I know a lot of people can't wrap their mind around that, especially in today's healthcare world, right? I mean, you can't imagine how much that would cost, and a family and a patient that's faced with this for the first time, that's often one of the first few things that pops in your head, of course, probably when you hear that your patient or when your child is diagnosed with a catastrophic disease, is you think, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to be able, to come up with the money to pay for this? And when St. Jude gets to tell that family, like, you don't have to worry about that. We just want you to focus on your child and helping them live. What a burden that you guys help us relieve off of them, because we can make sure that they can just solely focus on that, and that they can provide their full undivided attention, their time, to just focusing on helping their child get better. So I hope you realize that, like I said, I mean, that $1,400, that's the average cost. I mean, your $36 goes to feeding them. I think it's $252 on average for a week to feed a family. So they're not having to worry about any of that, even getting down to the hospital right after a fresh diagnosis and they've just learned the worst news of their life, and they're just wondering how they're even going to get through probably the next couple of days. You guys help us make sure that they don't have to worry about how am I going to figure out how to get down there. I mean, we take care of all of that for them because of your guys' support and your help.
Thank you, Abby, and thanks for coming out this morning. As we wrap this up, would you, if there was one thing that you could share with our community, beyond what you've already said, but just like one note of encouragement and to inspire people to keep being active, what would you say to them?
I first thank you for everything that you guys are doing. It truly doesn't go unnoticed, and it's not in vain. So I hope that you guys realize that what this means and what you're providing for these families, like I previously mentioned. But, you know, as little as I think sometimes people think that they can't help because sometimes, you know, we don't have a lot or somebody doesn't have a lot to give. But even as little as just $1, you know, and that's what Danny Thomas set out to do too, was, you know, he said, I'd rather have 1 million donations of $1 than I would have $1 million donation. So I think that anything helps. I think the more bigger our St. Jude family gets, the better, whether, like I said, whether that's $1 or whatever you can give, or just support and awareness. We appreciate you all so much and everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out, and not just coming out today, but you know, being somebody that I can always ask questions of, reach out to. You are an incredible support for me to help keep this going. So thank you for that.
Thank you all. It's been a joy to be able to see how this has progressed. So thank you guys so much, and good luck.
Thank you very much. Let's take a closer look at some of what St. Jude does right now.
A glittering premiere at the Chicago Theater for Warner Brothers, I'll See You in My Dreams. A real dream has come true, for this benefit premiere launches a drive for a new hospital sponsored by the film star Danny Thomas, here arriving with his family. Years ago,
Really?
Danny vowed he'd build a hospital if he ever became famous. $32,000 are subscribed, the first of 1 million Danny Thomas tells friends he'll raise for the St. Jude's Hospital of his dreams.
They said it couldn't be done. They said that it was a task which would break my heart. They said it was impossible. At this very moment, as I speak to you, in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, there is being constructed a hospital in the form of a star.
There it is, in concrete, glass, and steel, to offer help to all the children of the world, regardless of race, creed, or economic status.
You and I have vowed that we will do everything in our power, spiritually, physically, mentally, and financially, to bring about the defeat of these catastrophic diseases. We're going to begin with leukemia, and by God's grace, after defeating it, go on to other diseases. That little tiny building has led the world in advancements in pediatric science and clinical care, and now it's going to rise up. You will bring it to the fore through an organization called ALSAC.
If I were to die tomorrow, I now know why I was born.
While we're sitting here making this video, there's a family that's walking through the front doors on a Friday afternoon, and they're at St. Jude. When we came to St. Jude, I asked the doctor, "Can you treat my child?" And he said, "No. We're going to cure him."
My name is Chris. My son Matthew has cancer. We're so very thankful that we're here at St. Jude. It's an awesome place.
St. Jude's helped me get better.
We never see a hospital bill, never see a food bill. We're so very thankful. All those that ever gave before my son came here, our family thanks you, because it was because of your donations, your time, your effort that allowed my boy to have a fighting chance. We love that little boy with all of our heart. We sure do. And we thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts.
And so we're back in the studio, and we are ready for another of Dion's ABCs of X-Wing. Dion, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm feeling good. Are you all right? You awake?
I'm working on it.
All right, we're not even halfway, man. I got you. I'm by your side. Let's go.
I appreciate. I will rely upon your strength. So I've heard you've been asking some questions of some people in chat. What are you getting?
Yeah. I figured, we have a little bit of wiggle room in the schedule, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to get some questions from the chat that I have here. Some of them are just about the CAC. Some of them are about X-Wing. And Chad, you on your desk, you have right in front of you this row of beautiful coins. So Nutano asked, tell us about the coins on the desk. I've heard a little bit about them, but don't know the details. What are the origins? Like, what do you got there? Tell us about the coins, Chad. Tell us.
All right. So the first year we did the CAC, we didn't really expect it to be anything beyond a single event. So didn't really do anything commemorative, anything like that. The second year we did the CAC, as we're getting ready for it, we had decided we were expanding. So I had talked with enough people in the community that the second year we did the CAC, we were in 5 cities. And as we were prepping and getting ready for it, I got a message from an X-Wing player in the community who seems to show up at like every single X-Wing event ever. Richard Sue sent me a message and says, hey, I'm in the military. The challenge coins are something that we really love in our community. You should do a challenge coin for the CAC. So thought about it, and it's really kind of a good idea. So we started with the very first challenge coin, which was 2015. So the first challenge coin was actually the second year of the CAC. So we started with the Rebel and Empire, because that's where it all started. The second coin came out right when episode 7 came out, so that coin has First Order and the Resistance symbols on it. Because we'd covered those, and the X-Wing had also another faction, we decided to do a gold-themed coin. It's the only gold-themed coin that we've done. That is favorite. The Black Sun. Oh, I like it as well. So it's the Black Sun, and then also the dollar sign, because we thought, hey, it's gold, it's money, it's bounties. It's a great scum-themed coin. So that was our year 4 coin. It was the fourth year of the CAC, but the third year doing coins. So the 5th year of the CAC, we decided to do an episode 5 themed coin. So we did Bespin and then the iconic Luke Invader, which I still say to this day, the whole carbon freezing chamber, that whole the battle there is one of the most beautifully lit scenes in all of the movies. In any movie, that scene is my favorite. The oranges, the blues, the hues, the blacks. It's just gorgeous, and to be able to get that on a coin really made me happy. So this is probably, of all our coins, this is my favorite. So that was our year 5. Our year 5 or year 6 is an episode 6 theme. So we have on one side we have Endor with a Lambda shuttle on the landing pad, and you can see the Death Star in the sky in the distance. And on the other side we have the Emperor sitting in his throne room, flanked by 2 Imperial Guard. Now, I will say, though, in those coins, up until that point, I had influence in designing. I did not do the final design. I just said, hey, this is what I'd like them to look at. And a board member of ours, who is a very good graphic artist, took them and made them into real coins. And so he did all of those. And then this year, for our 7th year, we really didn't know what we wanted to do. We didn't know if we wanted to do an episode 7 theme, if we wanted to maybe try to represent some of the Clone Wars era stuff, since that was now a staple in X-Wing. We weren't sure what to do, and then The Mandalorian came out, and it just answered the question. So we have, and this one I didn't have any input on, didn't have any say in. Pascal just said, here's your coin. I said, that's gorgeous. And nobody objected. He did an absolutely wonderful job. So we have the silhouette of the Mandalorian on one side, and the child on the other. And my favorite part about the coins, other than the design, is that we run these through Lucasfilm, so that we don't produce them unless they give us the permission to do so. And so these are legit legal coins. We didn't. There's no copyright infringement, no anything going on here. So the one downside, and this is something that we always have to explain, usually about 700 times a year, is that these are only available at a CAC location. So with our agreement with Lucas, they allow us to produce them, but we can't sell them online. You can't just send us money and we'll send you a coin. It doesn't work that way. So the only way that these can be acquired is through a CAC event. So with this year, we had to cancel our CAC events, but we had already ordered the coins. So I have a stockpile, a limited stockpile, but a stockpile nonetheless, of the Mandalorian coins. Now we are giving them away, 2 per prize round throughout this event, but we cannot sell them to you. We cannot, you cannot call us or send us money to get these coins. You will have to wait until next year's CAC, where we will have these coins available for $10 a piece to add to the fundraising of the CAC. And the goal is next year we will have this 2020 coin available, as well as a new 2021 coin that should be out at all the CAC events. So. Whereas you couldn't, and most people won't be able to get a coin this year. Hopefully most of you will be able to get 2 coins next year.
That's awesome, Chad. Do we have time for one more question? Because I have another good one.
Fire away.
So you already hit actually one of the questions already, so I'm going to move to another one. So when we're actually holding, and when we will, because I have faith that we will, when we have the opportunity to run the CAC in person again and we're playing X-Wing, let's talk a little bit about the format, because it was the first time I heard about the unique pod format that was created for it in order to give both casual and competitive players their place in the event, and it added to the fun. So go ahead and maybe just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So this alternate format came out really honestly because I'm a mediocre player. So every event I go to, I am low. I maybe sometimes get up in the middles, but usually I'm in the lower end of the ranks. And I'm not upset about that. I know my limitations. I know what I'm good at and what I'm not. But I do love going. So I absolutely love going to events. I love spending the time with the people. And really, I go to play and play with the people. And I've met so many wonderful people through doing that. It's how the CAC spread in the first place, just going out, playing with different groups and meeting them. So with that in mind, when I started and I first had the idea for this tournament, I wanted to do something that would encourage people to stay the whole time. So in many tournaments, if you're going and your goal is to just win, once you're 1 loss or 2 losses down on the day or the weekend, there's that struggle of, do I continue, do I not, what's really the point? And I didn't ever want people to feel like that in this event. I wanted people to have a reason to stay for the whole event. So we did that with 2 ways. The first was to run this pod system. So we wanted to run this pod system to where we broke out everybody into random groups of 8. So when you show up, you're put into a random group. Now, we eventually made it so that we tried to, we asked your location when you were coming in, so that when we put you in random groups, we tried to make it so we weren't putting you in the same random group as somebody that you came with. So we tried to spread people out during that first round. And then you play 3 matches in your pod of 8. And you only play those 8 people, so that at the end of 3 rounds, there's a clear 3-0, there's 3 2-1s, 3 1-2s, and 1 0-3. So your ranking has been defined, but we didn't want that to be the end of the day, especially for the people that were going 0-3. So we have a lunch break, and then during that lunch break, we reshuffle. And that's what we consider before lunch to be sort of qualifiers, after lunch being the actual official tournament for you. So after lunch, you are placed in a new pod with only people that performed similarly to you before the pod, before lunch. So if you went 0-3, chances are you're paired up then with a bunch of other people that went 0-3. And hopefully then your skill levels match up, maybe your luck levels on that day match up, and you can have a more balanced gameplay experience rather than being just feeling dejected and be like, I can't win anything. And then at the end of so that it's in essence, it's almost a second chance tournament for anybody that wouldn't be in a contender for first place. So you have that second chance tournament where you can win your pot at the end of the day and hopefully take home a small prize. Now the other part of my desire to keep people for the day was also my experience with gameplay. I was a mediocre player. I never really won any good prizes. I didn't get a nice, cool signed playmat. I never got those top. Heck, I could go to a 30-person tournament and not win something for top 25. So I really wanted to balance that out a little bit more. So we structured our prize system to be based on just random giveaways throughout the day. So how you placed really didn't decide whether or not you got the good gifts, the good prizes. So we pretty much gave everybody door prizes, tickets, as they came in, and said, all right, here's your 3 or 4 raffle tickets. And then throughout the day, all of the cool prizes that we had gathered from authors, from artists, from game companies, FFG, and others that participate, all of those prizes would then be given away via random raffle rather than based on how you did. Because in this event especially, we want the gratification of your win to really be why you win. We don't want you to win just because you want you want the cool painted ship or the nice tokens. We want you to win and take satisfaction in that. If you get something via random raffle, but that's great. But we want the guy in last place to have as much chance to get some of the cool toys as the guy in first place. So that would be, in a nutshell, why we structure the CAC the way we do.
Awesome. Yeah, if we have time, we'll get to some of the other questions later, but super excited to jump into our next ABCs of X-Wing game. It's going to be Pinkerton versus Gomes, an awesome game that happened during the Las Vegas Open. If you haven't been following, these ABC games are games where myself and the players in the game rewatch an edited version of the game. So we take out all the planning phases and just talk through talk through the game, get into the mind. Why were those decisions made? What worked? What didn't? Have that reflective time. Get into that mental state of a player when they're able to remove themselves from the game and see what they did. And in this game, this was actually a really, really fun one using some unorthodox squads, if I could say. Super excited. We're going to cut to that in a minute. I think, Chad, if I'm not mistaken, we're coming up pretty soon, I think, on a pretty important interview, right?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, I was just going to say that after you got done talking, we're gonna send this to the game, the Dion's ABCs of X-Wing game, and then after that, so in about an hour, maybe a little bit less, about 45 minutes to an hour, we will have Jonas Suitamo on, who is the actor inside the Chewbacca suit. So. Very excited to talk to him live and get his experiences, get his stories. But for now, we are going to take it to Dion's game.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? We have our next match here, this game review. Super excited. I have Gordon Pinkerton and Jonathan Gomes on the line, and we're going to be reviewing their round 6 game from the Las Vegas Open. How are you doing today, Gordon?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. And how are you, Jonathan?
Dion, I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
I'm great. Now, here's a plan. We're going to go ahead and start the tape. Feel free, guys, just break down your squads and just let us know what's going on in your heads. Before we get started, though, let me remind you, audience, type !donate, hit that link. We're trying to hit our goal here on the Campaign Against Cancer Telethon, trying to fight cancer as the X-Wing community. Let's go. Let's get started. All right, Gordon, we'll start with you. Break down your squad.
Cool. So yeah, I'm flying Resistance. This is back at LVO. So I was flying Kova with Leia, R4, and a shield upgrade here. And then Jess Pava with the BB droid, a red squad vet with Heroic, and yeah, Finn with Heroic and Perceptive co-pilot. It's a squad I've been flying a lot before this and all. I took something similar to Worlds. I was always kind of playing around with variations of it, so this is just the latest variation of it, but I enjoy it a lot. It has some good punch and a lot of different tools to use.
And what about you, Jonathan?
So this squad, very straightforward. 5 X-Wings, Rebel ones, Blue Squadron Escorts, all Initiative 2, no upgrades except servomotor S-foils, which cost 0 points and is more or less considered a staple upgrade for the ship. Just very straightforward. 5 ships. Nothing special about them.
Now,
what do you always set up your start that way, like right in the center of the board?
So my start. Okay, so this actually dates back to Worlds 2014. It was when Scott Williams and I took out the squad that became known as Panic Attack, which was 3 B-Wings with Tactician and a Y-Wing with R3A2, the stress droid, and an ion turret. And the strategy I'm using here is kind of an evolution of an archetype of setup strategies that originated from me playing with that squad, and as well as playing Luke and 3 rookie pilots in Worlds 2013 and the year prior. The idea was, this really was in the time when named Phantoms and the Fat Falcons were quite popular during the 2014 year and including Worlds. And the idea was to set up in the center because the whole list, just like this one, it was then all pilot skill 2. This squad is all initiative 2. But the premise is that this squad, I'm going to be making the first moves. So by doing a central setup, I'm kind of hedging my bets on where my opponent may place their ships. So I'm kind of equal distance to wherever I need to be in order to kind of achieve the opening position I'm looking for. In your case, Gordon, I wasn't sure what you were going to do with your resistance list. The looks of it, I figured you were going to set up in some kind of a closed up formation. But I wasn't sure what side of the board that was going to be on. And really, once we placed obstacles, I kind of figured you were going to set up in one of the 2 corners. My initial setup I was kind of thinking that you would set up as you did on the left-hand side. So that's why I set up my ships on the right initially and kind of, was it on the right that they were in a diagonal position? I believe they were. But I set them up staggered that way in order to basically, I could close my S-foils, boost if I needed to, or keep them open, barrel roll. It gave me a little bit of a thinking that you would set up on the left side of the table. From my perspective, it would give me a little bit of a head start in getting those ships on the right side where they needed to be. And you kind of see it right here, where I really just gunned the engines on those two rightmost X-wings and swung them around, because I anticipated you were either going to come straight down the table edge, which is basically what you did here, or you would turn in and try and use that debris cloud, the long one there in the top left corner of the map, again from my perspective, to your advantage for cover, or to force me to kind of commit one way or another around that obstacle eventually.
Yeah.
So Gordon, what about your setup and approach?
I would always set up kind of like I did here, where I'm like facing down my own board edge and then do hard turns right out of the gate and kind of come down one of the gutters. And then like, this is all a practice move right here. I know the next move I do where I kind of form a straight line is something I practiced a lot, just being able to kind of turn in and keep all my guns kind of facing in one direction and give myself a lot of options and all. But yeah, Jonathan did a great job here, where he kind of like formed his own shooting line, and he did something I didn't expect, which is like pushing his own ships back, towards our view here, towards the top of the board from here, just to kind of give us some more space in between us and kind of hold off that engagement. So we were really like facing each other as two big lines. It was really neat to see. I thought I would be able to kind of like get him a bit more on an angle. But yeah, Jonathan, you got me there. I think we both have really good turns on.
We did. Yeah. And the way how you said your setup and approach is practiced, that was very clear just watching you execute it. And I'll admit, I started sweating a little bit mentally. I'm like, oh, this guy isn't phased. He's done this before. And, I was thinking, so pushing my ships up on the right really far out like that could be advantageous. But really only if my opponent doesn't. I wasn't trying to assume that you hadn't practiced, but when just watch how precise you're maneuvering your squad.
I was going to mention that
can also be a liability.
I was going to mention that, Gordon, your opening is very ballet-like. Lots of like intricate boosts and barrel rolls in that bottom left corner.
It was tricky. Like when I first started flying the squad with like two T-70s, Finn and Kova. Like especially with Kova in there, they have such different dials and they just move so weird.
Like look at that! Look at that!
Yeah. When I figured that out, that I could form a straight line like that in 2 turns from the beginning of the game, it was kind of a game changer, because I use that in almost every game. Just being able to get that like firing line there. People don't expect you to unfold like that.
No, and that takes practice. I mean, again, going back to Panic Attack, just flying one Y-wing with 3 B-wings. It didn't take me long to realize, wait, this Y-wing's going to outfly the B-wings, especially doing things like a 3-bank, even post 2.0 or pre 2.0. So again, the principle here is still the same. I'm flying all 5 X-wings, but they're all X-wings. They're all exactly the same. A TIE Swarm would be similar. You're basically flying all TIE fighters, unless you say have like a named ace in there that may be one different ship. But in your case, you've got several different ships that you're able to get them in such a precise line. It takes practice and effort, and it takes some learning, sometimes the hard way. So good job.
For sure. Yeah, definitely have to fly them a lot and bump a lot to learn the hard way, for sure. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure what to do on this turn. This was one of the harder turns for both of us, probably, just because it's the engagement here. And I honestly don't remember what I did. Looking at it now, I probably would do like banks with the X-wings, probably sit still with Kova and just a 1 forward with Finn or something, just to make sure everyone has shots, and then see where you ended up.
So I think here, especially with the the pink X-wing there.
Mm-hmm.
I was debating, because that one ship is the one that was basically right in front of that gas cloud, and it kind of struggled with it in the opening exchange. I was thinking about barrel rolling to the left and using it to kind of flank on the other side. And I'm wondering if I maybe should have done that in retrospect, because thinking about the game prior in the same tournament where I faced off against 5 TIE bombers with the 5 X-wings, I did kind of a similar thing where I swung 2 ships high up on the left side, and then I had the other 3 come in from the bottom left side from below. So here I really didn't do that as much. Here I kind of just moved all the ships up and coming from the right and spiraling around the center, really around that one hook-shaped gas cloud right there in the middle.
Yeah, that got in both of our ways.
Where with your initial setup, that gun line you deployed, I definitely saw you were anticipating at least one ship coming around from the left, coming up the left side of the map there.
Yeah, so here I'm shooting with Kova. I forget who I'm shooting, probably the green guy.
So one of the things...
It was either the green one or the black one.
Yeah. What were you saying, Bill?
Yeah, one of the things that surprised me, no worries, one of the things that surprised me was how aggressive both of you decided to be. Because a lot of times, you know, when you have jousting squad versus jousting squad, you'll have one player decide, all right, this engagement isn't for me. And as we continue to watch this game, if you didn't get to watch it live or on our YouTube channel, there's just a lot of points going back and forth this entire game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I still can't tell you who has the upper hand here in terms of better jousting efficiency. You know, is the 5th ship the better, or pilot skill and some passive?
Me neither. Well, and just honestly, yeah, my 5 X-wings may have the ship number advantage, but honestly, I do feel that Gordon's in a stronger opening position here because he's not dealing with that gas cloud nearly as much as I am with more ships. So it's interesting how one obstacle can become a real pivotal, have a real pivotal influence on a match, especially in any given phase of the game.
Yeah, and that's why I actually set up in the southwest corner instead of the northwest corner there, is because of that other long debris cloud that's up at the top there. Normally that's where I kind of turn my ships in about, so I didn't want that to be in my way.
I was wondering about that actually, looking because we had those 2 elongated gas clouds. I was wondering if you set up there, would you come in through that gap right there between?
It would be a hard choice. Yeah,
but I didn't know. I could see it, but I didn't know exactly how you would play that.
Right. Yeah. So this way, I figured it would at least force you, since there was kind of those 3 gas clouds that are in a triangle there.
Right.
The bottom right. I figured that I would try and drag you through more gas clouds rather than putting one out of the way. Yeah.
And what's interesting, that triangular setup, when I flew Panic Attack, I would actually use a similar strategy, except have those just a little beyond one range band. Here, there's at least 2 range bands between all 3 of them. And for me right there, it kind of created a maneuvering issue for me.
Yeah.
Because I had to fly around them or fly through them, but either way I had to deal with them. And more than you, I believe. And really you having Leia and Covenell being able to do, I believe you executed a white 3K here. I mean, being able to pull off maneuvers like that is pretty clutch in a situation like this, especially where me playing the 5 X-Wings, I don't have that. Again, I just have the stock ships. I don't have any special tools in my toolbox to deal with an unconventional situation.
So target priority-wise here, you definitely did the right thing and shot up Kova first.
I had learned that lesson, actually, from my round 3 game. I lost to a Covenell.
There you
go. One of the named A-Wing pilots, RZ2 ones, and Ray.
Yeah.
And it was a tanky Ray Falcon build that had Leia on Covenell in support. And I ignored that Covenell and paid dearly for it over the whole game.
She is surprisingly good in the end game.
Yeah.
Even against aces, against higher initiative ships, just because they can't keep their guns on her because she moves in such really weird ways.
Yeah.
I really enjoy flying her.
Just even backing up too threw me off. Like,
Oh
you
yeah,
can't back up.
But I mean, here
But
you
you can.
definitely destroyed her here.
I tried, and
Yeah.
the dice were really favoring me here. But again, I lost a ship, and it's funny because I flew 5 Y-wings for a while too, like for years. I mean, Dion probably remembers me flying the 5 Y-wings with Leia on the U-wing.
I do.
It was yes, and even with a list like that, what I've learned, you kind of have to accept that your opponent is basically going to point at one ship and say, I'm removing that ship in the first exchange. And that's essentially what Gordon did here with that green X-Wing. So I have my squad of 5 X-Wings minus 1 X-Wing. Those 4 remaining ships are what I have to work with. What can I do coming into the mid-game with those 4 ships? And that's kind of the question I had to answer for myself.
Right.
And
At this point, I would say like you might even have the upper hand here with Kova limping on 1 hull. But
maybe
a lot of it determines how much damage I can do on this next turn before you take Kova out.
This is interesting too, because at least in this position, I was thinking that I may stop you up more than I actually did. And see, that barrel roll I did there.
Barrel roll, yeah.
I debated on that, but I wasn't sure. I think what I was trying to do was get range 3 from those T-70s, at least at that point, because I wasn't sure if you were going to bump into that purple X-Wing or if you were going to do K turns or Talon rolls, because I think I had it in my head you were going to do 4Ks, because otherwise I don't think I would have done that. So yeah, it's again, it's
a bummer. I think this
yeah,
hit, right?
No, it doesn't, just barely,
yeah.
But it didn't. I mean, the 3K with Finn was, the writing was on the wall there, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not entirely sure what I was thinking here.
Yeah, to definitely like burn Leia and use the turn into the white 3K, just because, I mean, Kova's a goner no matter what this turn, so might as well get Finn those double focus and give him a really beefy shot, on Kova's way out.
And the 3 is just going to be just long enough.
Oh, that's right. I think I did actually plan this with the orange T-70 kind of does a 1 bank, and I wanted to block Jess so that Jess would actually get a shot.
Right.
Range 1. And I think that's what I ended up doing here.
That surprised me a little bit because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you were going to maybe do a 1 bank with Jess the other way and block up Jess so that Jess couldn't be shot at by at least one of my X-Wings, or if you were going to do basically what you did, just as
the reason I did this is because I want you to shoot at Jess more, because her defensive ability is stronger the earlier in the game.
Right.
So it's like I want you to shoot at Jess while she still has friends around. Like once Jess gets to the end game, she's useless.
That's a good point. So it might seem counterintuitive, but when you describe it that way, that makes perfect sense. And this is maneuvers like that when you're close in. I feel like our lists where we're jousting, more or less, it's plays like that that can be really key to getting the upper hand in what can be kind of an archetype mirror match.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and there I just backed up Kova because, hey, maybe if I can get her out of range or range 3, maybe she'll actually survive another round.
And I'll admit, I totally forgot that you could back up with Kova at this point. You described it pretty succinctly there. I think that maybe at this point I did have the upper hand, but my maneuvering choices, I think I kind of
you had a couple rough bumps here, and
I handed it over to you in the process. Because now at this point, you really do have superior position and shots, especially in this round.
Right. Yeah, because you're not modding like any shots on this round.
No,
And I guess like even if I guess the barrel roll with pink was a good choice because it got him out of Finn's arc, and wouldn't have really done much better if you hadn't barrel rolled there. So
that's true.
It ended up working out pretty well.
So this is all your shots are going into this red X-wing, right? At this point, just trying to trying to clear it off the board. At this point, it's
yeah.
super
I can take
on fire.
one out at the turn. Yeah.
And that's key with ships like these, like our X-wings, more or less the T-65, T-70s. A number of the targets that we're going after, generally we have them surrounded. Dion, you talked about it in your original coverage of our game, where you were talking about how with ships like X-wings, when you can get your firing arcs on the same target from multiple different angles, it opens up windows of opportunity not just for that one ship but for other ships. Depending, your target priority can shift, but you still have a target to go after.
Wow, he sounds like a smart guy. All right, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, so right there, I was able to use Just's ability to not take one hit there.
Those are another real edge you had too in this fight. If we're in an instance kind of like this where basically everybody but Finn and I think Covanel have a modifier or have any tokens, you have more modifiers just because you have Jess right there, and she can get one reroll with the friendly Red Squadron veteran right next door. And that gives you an edge in this fight where, again, I don't have that just with the generic T-65s.
Right, yeah.
And his big shot into Finn here.
Yeah.
Strain up.
Yeah.
Oh, Finn.
Yeah.
So able to bring that down to a single damage. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. And I think good. Finn here cleans up the red X-wing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. At this point, I was just like hoping to take out.
I lose another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I lose another ship at least in this phase. So if it's not Finn, it's.
Yeah.
So now here's a couple questions. You guys have seen the initial engagement here. You've seen what happened. Jonathan, you were talking a little bit about you maybe thought that hindsight's 2020, that maybe you would have taken that pink X-wing and barrel rolled early to come around the backside for the flank. Are there any other things, Gordon, we'll start with you, that looking on the approach that maybe you would have done a little bit different?
In this case, I kind of needed those T-70s where they were just to be able to get meaningful shots off. I might have tried, instead of backing up with Kova there, maybe just charging forward with like a 3-bank or something. I don't think I actually used her crack shot in this game at all, so maybe since I knew she was a goner, I could have played a bit more aggressively with her. Rather than taking the route of I'll back away and see if I can hang on one more round. But yeah, kind of neither here nor there.
It's a desperate situation.
Right. Because if I would have charged forward, she very well could have gotten bumped. And,
right.
I mean, that could have been good because that's one less person shooting at her, But
your initial play, you're banking on maybe me not having modifiers on some of my attacks. So if you're rolling 2 evade dice versus my 3 attack dice and I roll marginally, you can maybe dodge it. So I could see it either way. I think, so for me, looking at this again, I think I made a strategic mistake by having all my X-Wings go basically up the center and up around, so coming across the middle towards the left from our perspective here and swinging around that hook-shaped debris or gas cloud. I'm thinking maybe if I had sent 3 up that way and then come across the right flank around the bottom side of that gas cloud with the other 2.
Like where your hand is there.
That could that could have changed this equation, because then those two X-Wings would probably be on the 4 o'clocks of both those T-70s,
Right, they could've
Pava
just
and the
turned
Red
around.
Squadron veteran.
Yeah, I do think that would have been good, at least with Pink, if you had kind of stayed towards the south end of the board here and
Right.
come around. You wouldn't have had to like stress yourself doing K turns to stay in the fight here and all that. But
I don't doubt that I probably would have lost. Let's say you were going after the larger group of X-Wings, the 3 on the left. I think that you still would have taken out at least one and badly damaged a second, or like you did here, and after the second round of fighting, you took out 2. And so I think that squad would have been decimated, but the other 2 may have been in a stronger position to either deal with both your T-70s or deal with Finn after performing that 3K. Because, I mean, that 3K was, I think we both saw it coming, but it was just a matter of when. So, I mean, that's maybe what I could have done differently. But again, I'm not sure if it would have changed the outcome.
It would have made the choice a little harder for me, just like choosing which one to go after.
Right.
Because you would have also been able to like approach me and block me from 2 different angles then. And especially with the T-65s and their ability to, close S-foils and boost, like you can really, get in there quick to do a quick block or something. So it's kind of a bit easier when everyone's coming from one direction, because you can kind of like guess where they're going to end up. But if they're coming from like the left and the right, it makes it a lot harder to determine who's going to rush in for a block or just try and get in the way. So
especially with the way the T-65 and T-70 behave now, it's very interesting playing that kind of psychological warfare game
totally
with your opponent, and vice versa if they're flying the same craft in the same game. Is when do you keep your guns in the fight? When do you close S-foils and just break out? At least in my case with the T-65.
You didn't really do it too much in this game, I don't think. But do you find yourself like closing and opening S-foils a lot during a game?
I would say I probably do it on average about twice a game, two complete cycles a game of where I'll close them during the maneuvering phase, because obviously no one's really taking any shots, so I might as well have access to both boost and barrel roll. Sometimes I'll actually I'm just trying to think. There's been 1 or 2 instances where I've kept them closed at range 3 in order to be able to boost. But those are usually weird scenarios where I'm fighting against, like, say, Academy pilots, where my opponent has the initiative and I don't, so I'm moving second. So I want to keep my boost to have on hand once I know more of the board state, once they've maneuvered their ships. But that's usually pretty rare. So once we get in range, I usually just crack them open and keep them that way. Then what I'll do is kind of assess, do I want to K-turn or Talon roll, which I love Talon rolling with the T-65.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
it really is. But then I ask myself that question of, do I want to keep them open and keep my guns in the fight and, do K-turns, Talon rolls, and joust? Or do I keep them closed? And because this is a moment with the T-65, when you keep your S-foils closed, you gain access to a focus-linked red boost. That actually can be quite clutch, because it can get you not only to range 3, but it also gives you that focus token at the cost of being stressed. But considering that you've got 1 and 2 straits and banks that are blue, it's not hard to clear that stress and just keep running around the map. And getting to a point where you can reposition, open up your S-foils, and engage again. The X-Wing now kind of is an interesting sort of jouster / hit and run hybrid ship, where you've got enough maneuverability, not necessarily to fight hypermobile ships, but you have enough maneuverability to engage in a gun, just a classic joust gunfight, and then disengage and re-engage to a degree on your own terms.
Totally.
Here with the T-70 though, I feel like you had an advantage though, because I believe you have a blue 3 straight.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you can do basically the same thing, but you can go faster than me. And that little bit can make a difference, which is why I opted just to stay in the fight.
Hmm. I think this is where I messed up my fin dial. Like I think I fix it here in a second. Where I thought I had picked the 1 straight, but I ended up picking a 2 straight or something. Yeah, there's my friend.
That's right.
Or yeah, 3 straight. Yeah, I was going back and forth because I was like, is he gonna block me? Should I jump over and stuff? And I thought I had decided on the 1 straight. Yeah, classic. Oh, after 6 games.
And that would have made the difference between you having your actions and not.
Yeah. But I mean, bumping wasn't the worst because it's 1 less. I was only taking 1 shot then, so it's not terrible.
All right, so at this point, it's 80-62, and the score is going to probably tighten up here a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Apparently, they were fairly tight most of the match, and I dare say neither of us really realized that until the last several minutes of the game.
I mean, I figured we were close-ish the
Me
whole
too,
time
because we were trading pretty consistently.
Yeah. But the math was just a little too hard to do right off the bat.
Well, points-wise, you definitely had an edge up until I managed to take out Finn, but I mean, you did a lot of damage to me in the process before that happened. So
yeah, were you leaning into Finn here? Or no? That's right. You were just taking damage on someone there.
Yeah, because this is the point where Jess and the Red Squadron veteran were taking shots. I believe it's at the Black.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because that's who Jess would have a better shot at there for sure.
Right.
Now the X-Wings on your side, Gordon, start to take a little bit of damage here.
They're pretty resilient though. Like they take a while.
I feel like
3 shields, 4 hull points, right?
That extra shield.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I feel like every time I commentate T70s, like that shield always matters. Always.
Yeah.
When they changed the Y-Wing from having 3 shields and 5 hull to 2 and 6, it's amazing how many more critical hits I take, like on a 3-die attack, especially when it's a classic, like 2 hits and a crit, and you don't dodge any of it, which, I mean, with 1 agility or not. But that 1 shield makes a difference. And even with the T70, I still think it would make quite a significant difference. Though having the extra hull point on the T65 now, that makes a difference too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So now Finn goes down, and Jonathan, you're ahead for the first time in the game, 80-100.
Yes, and at this point,
yeah, I think I knew it here because you weren't at half yet with anyone.
No, I think I had it in my head that I was, though. So I figured, man, this has got to be really close. Or it was the idea that maybe I was ahead on points, but I mean, when you look, look at the stats.
Oh, yeah, so I had made a mistake.
Wait,
sorry. So yeah, the Black X-Wing
that's right.
had 1 damage. I had missed that. So
now you're 100.
We're tied.
That's right.
But we didn't know we were tied at all.
No, I think Gordon, you prompted our conversation on that. Like, should we add up points? And I wanted to say yes, but I also was like, we've got 3 minutes left.
Yeah. And I think we were both pretty much in the match. I think we both had good enough MOV, and we knew that. Like, we were probably both going to get into the cut at this point. So
I wasn't entirely sure that we would both get in, but I was pretty sure. At the same time, I wasn't necessarily opposed to adding up points, but a part of me was like, we're in the game right now. We're so in our grooves. If we start adding up points, that might do us both a disservice. Should we just stay focused on the match? Yeah. So I'm like, I'm for just keeping going.
Yeah. No, I'm glad we did. It was fun. And even if we did add them up, I don't think it would have changed anything because we ended up being tied anyway. So
no, and I was so tempted to run away at this point and see if I could just stay alive.
probably could have. I mean, with everyone, right? Because you could have like 3-banked with the top 2 there, and I mean, with all 3 of us, really 3-bank boost with all of them.
But again, here's another thing. All of our S foils are open at this point, right?
Oh,
What do
yeah,
you
yeah.
have when your S foils are open that I don't?
Yeah, right.
So you can boost.
Yeah.
So if I run away, I was just looking at this thinking I could close S foils, do 3 banks, 4 straights, boost, and do a focus linked red boost. But one, is that going to even remotely give me a chance to escape you? And second, could I get obstructed and stay at range 3, and try and dodge your attacks? Because if I fail to do that, you'll have won anyways, and I'm basically removing any chance that I can strike back and maintain any lead or any closeness of the match. So that's why I decided to turn and face you.
Mm-hmm. That move surprised me here with the black X-Wing doing a Talon there.
I really didn't know what you were going to do with Jess at this
Yeah,
point.
I figured because black only had 1 hole left, I think. I think he was the most damaged, so I thought for sure he would be running.
I know what I did here, actually. So I thought you were going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to Talon roll or you were going to do like a 3-turn and try to boost.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I tried to play in such a way that I could stop you up and keep you from shooting that black
right.
X-Wing. But then you reveal your tiles.
Because there's a possibility here where Jess jumps in front of all 3 of your X-Wings, Jonathan, and all you have to do is 2 damage at this point to get to get the W.
Right.
And I was kind of gambling on that, but I wasn't sure exactly where Jess was going to land. Looking at her position now, I thought she'd be a little more. I don't know. I guess I had it in my head that she might land. Had she done something equivalent to like a 2 Talon roll, but I thought she'd be farther down the map and farther, more towards the right, and not have that black X-Wing and arc. That she did. That I think that.
I mean, that kind of decided the game, because I don't think orange has black in his arc, so.
No, and I don't think the pink X-Wing does either.
Right.
And so you take out the black T65, Jess, there's nothing left to shoot at Jess.
Yeah. Man, close game, right down to the end there.
Yeah, for sure.
That was super fun.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's games like these this is why I play X-Wing. No pun intended that we're flying 7 of them and the game's fun. But these really are now middle of the road ships. They're kind of a jack of all trades. They do everything pretty well, but they don't excel at any one thing. So it comes down to how you fly them, and the decisions you make that dictate, who comes out on top in the fight. And seeing how close this game was, that just that reminds me of that. It reminds me why I play this game, why I love it.
Yeah, no, it was a super fun match for sure. And just stayed in the scrum the whole time, which is always fun.
Yeah, you bet. It took us a little while to get there, but once we got there.
Right. But even the maneuvering beforehand has its own, subtleties to it, and it's like the dance before you start. It
fighting. Does, and it's interesting. Like your ships. I like how Dion described it. You having your little ballet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
movement and play, where I'm flying more kind of a chaotic water flow.
Yeah, right. You're river dancing over there.
Well, also, Jonathan, you played another game for me on stream against those 5 bombers, and you set up extremely different. I think I mentioned it during the commentary of this game. The setup looked really, really different. So I would recommend anybody who hasn't seen that game, go watch it there. But this was an awesome game, and yes, I chose this game from the 4 of Gold Squadron that we were going to show here on the CAC because it is one of my favorites that I've commentated on because it comes down to the wire, ton of ships on the table, and you didn't know who was going to win until the very end. It was absolutely awesome. So, guys, I want to say thank you so much for your time. You guys are great, and I look forward to sometime in the near future when things are safe that I can see you guys again and see you guys playing some more X-Wing.
Oh, can't wait. You've been getting me through this COVID thing, Dion, just being able to watch streams and all. I'm keeps me interested in X-Wing.
I'm trying.
Same, Dion. You've been keeping me going with X-Wing. You've been keeping that fire alive in me. Just being able to go back and watch all these amazing games that you have in your archives. And it's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
No problem. Now, everybody at home, want to remind you, you are watching the Campaign Against Cancer first ever telethon. We are trying to raise money to fight against cancer. Normally, if you guys don't know, there's a big event called the Campaign Against Cancer. It's X-Wing events literally around the world where we raise money to fight against cancer. We can't do that because we're not allowed to have large meetings, but this is what we're doing. We've been here now for I don't even know how many hours now, but we're trying to raise money. We've been talking about the goal. If you want to be a part of this movement, type !donate. All of the information will be there for you in the Twitch chat when you type that, or you can also scroll down here on Twitch. You should be able to click the link underneath the video for all the details there. Help us reach our goals. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're going to go ahead and send it back to Chad in the studio.
Thank you, Dion. That was an absolute wonderful game to watch. We're really blessed to have you doing this with us. So we are at the point we are ready to give away some more prizes. So going down the list, first coin goes to Ryan Weisinger. The second coin goes to William Anderson. The Plo Koon ship for this hour goes to Richard Snyder, and the Chris Burdett artwork goes to O'Connor and Lee Photography. Hopefully there's a person behind that that can claim that. So our next prize, we're going to go back and we are going to do another Royal Naboo N1 Starfighter. So Naboo Royal N1 Starfighter, the Silver Starfighter, that's the con exclusive. So if you give $10 in the next 2 hours until the end of our next game, you will be in the drawing to win either a coin, the Plo Koon, or the Starfighter. So good luck. Please continue to donate. We are at about 15,000, maybe a little bit more now. So please keep that coming in so that we can help all of these children at St. Jude and the telethon. That interview or that video before we show it again. So we're going to move on. So I'm very excited about this next portion just because as a child growing up, you have your heroes. I grew up on Star Wars, and so my heroes, Han, Luke, Chewie, Leia, just the Fab Four of space fantasy, just always close to my heart. And this is an absolute honor for me to get to introduce to you the walking carpet and the master with the bowcaster, Mr. Jonas Sutamo.
Hello. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm out of town with the family and managed to get a little time off to do this interview.
I thank you. We'll try not to take you away from your family too long, but we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Maybe share a little bit about your experiences, what your time with us in the last 4 or 5 years has been like. But first of all, a lot of people know that you're from Finland, which is very cool. But not a lot of people would know that you studied here in the U.S. and graduated from Penn State. In fact, you were definitely an athlete there, and then continued your athletic career even after you graduated college.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I played for Penn State basketball for 3 years, and graduated in 3.5 years, and went back to Finland and did some basketball there right until I was called to audition for the now famous role of Chewbacca.
So that was going to be my next question is how did somebody like you find out about this audition? So it sounds like they reached out to you and had picked you out to come in and take a look at it.
Yeah, they found me was the explanation here, because I had heard about the role. I had heard that they were doing casting for Chewbacca. For some reason, I was, I wasn't pursuing it. And this was like 5 months before. This was August 2013. And then in December, I get a call from the Finnish Basketball Association saying that, hey, there's this big budget Hollywood film looking for a guy your size and with blue eyes. So are you interested? And I said, yes. And that's when we contacted the casting agency, and they told me, okay, we would like you to self-tape this video of you playing a caveman, but you must sign this document first. And it was the non-disclosure agreement. And that's when I started getting a hint that this could be Star Wars, because I was observing the what's going on in the movie world, and found out later that it was indeed Star Wars.
So were you a fan of the genre of the movies before being asked to be a part of it?
Always a fan of Star Wars. My dad had on VHS. He had all the movies, and we watched them religiously. And it was quite something to then be able to take my dad and bring him to the set of Episode 7 and show him, introduce him to Harrison Ford, and it was quite something. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. That just sounds like a dream come true. When did it finally sort of sink in on you that that you got to play this absolutely iconic character that you had grown up, watching and seeing, and now suddenly you get to step into those shoes? What was that realization like, and when did it hit you?
Well, the casting process took about 4 months, and it was long as you could imagine. It felt like I had sleepless nights. I just couldn't sleep because it was just so intimidating to think about. Like, if I don't get this, what happens then? And if I get it, like how it's gonna, open this. It's another world for me in terms of my acting aspirations, and because I had studied acting briefly in high school and university, and I wanted to become an actor, but I was told I was too tall, so I kind of started putting that aside. But I guess there was that one role that was right for me. I was. It was actually, I was in a parking lot with my then girlfriend, now wife, and we were just finishing up some shopping, and I was called to say they said, the casting agency said that congratulations, you're gonna be a part of this movie and playing Chewbacca alongside Peter Mayhew.
That is fantastic. Speaking of which, what was so especially in The Force Awakens, you guys you shared that role, and then you went on to take it over in Solo in episodes 8 and 9. But back to sharing that with Peter, what was that like? Trying to make that transition and trying to come into such an iconic to fill such large shoes and in such an iconic role. What was that transition like for you to work with him?
Yeah, it was a fun collaboration. Peter was, he was such a direct in his way of speaking, and I enjoyed that, because I came in, my eyes were open, and I wanted to see and absorb as much as I could. And Peter really, he was that iconic movie star to me, and he showed me the ropes, and and tried to, guide me so that I could be, because in the end, it was the character that we were both playing, and the goal was to bring that character to life once more to Star Wars fans, and we tried to do as much keep it as much similar to the previous performances as we could, and I think we did all right in that.
No, absolutely. I promise. The nerd community can be very, very critical at times, and I've heard nobody ever complain about you being Chewbacca now. So I really think you've done well. You've embraced it, and people have embraced you in that role.
Well, thank you.
And going into that, like you said, you met with Peter. It's. He was a hero. He played that character. What was that? I mean, did you find yourself getting starstruck, not knowing what to do?
In a way, I knew that this was like it sort of became, because every day you would meet your heroes from childhood. One day it was Mark Hamill. The day before that it was Carrie Fisher, and it was such a splendid parade of people who I'd known from childhood, seen from the movies. So I was kind of, I learned to manage my reactions and know that everyone, even if it's a big movie star or a normal person, everyone loves to be treated like a human. So I mean, even if your inner fanboy was, as soon as it takes control, I learned to suppress that and, treat everyone equally. That's the best way I think I know how to do.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you're absolutely right. We all love to be treated like people.
Right. And actually, there was I have to tell you, I made the mistake of once calling Harrison Mr. Ford, and he said, "Don't call me Mr. Ford. Call me Harrison." so it was actually, it was on the steps of the Millennium Falcon, walking up the ramp, and I think he enjoys being amongst people and being treated as a person, with respect, of course.
So I'll be honest. I kind of feel bad now calling you Mr. Sutamo in my emails.
That's okay. You can call me Mr. Sutherland. Whatever.
That's
works,
fair.
Whatever. My name is such a hard thing to pronounce because it's got O's and every kind of sort of unfamiliar pronunciations for Americans. So all works for me.
So when you were getting in, and so now you've done 4 movies, which have been wonderful. What in your you're seasoned, you're not so much a rookie anymore. What's been your favorite part of this process for you, becoming just kind of growing in this role and being a part of this franchise?
I think it's after the fact, after you made the movie, and when you meet families, and especially when you meet kids and you see their eyes grow wide when they, see you, and they've been told that this guy is inside the Chewbacca suit, and I think that's the best part. But then, when you're filming, of course, you often, have to paint yourself that you're part of, this lovely franchise, and get to work on these stories that you've grown up with, and it's a wonderful privilege to have that opportunity, and I don't take it for granted at all, and would love to, if one day we have to go back, would love to go back, because it's such a fun thing to work towards, because it's like playing, if you have the opportunity to play Lassie or some dog, playing Chewbacca is such a wonderful thing, because he doesn't really have many haters, and so it's sort of a very privileged role to play.
Yeah. The part in episode 9 where for a few minutes you think that he may have not been around anymore. There were definitely angry and audible gasps throughout the entire theater during those parts where they were not happy with the idea of anything happening to you.
Right.
So,
My wife gave me a look, and I just looked at her like this, like or something like that. I hadn't told her a thing, and I tried to play it off as it was, I'm not one for spoilers, so it was fun to see her reaction. Yeah.
That's great. I like that you like to mess with her. That's a lot of fun.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So when you so now you've been there for a little bit. You've gone through quite a learning process in this time, I'm assuming. What do you wish you would have known stepping in? Not to say that there was anything bad. It sounds like it's been a great process for you, but what would have made everything better had you known just this little bit coming in?
Ooh, well, I definitely would have, if I would have known more about how every day was special. Like if someday like Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings director, came to visit, if I had known that those days, and combined to the fact that we were filming in the Millennium Falcon that day, and if I had known how special and unique each of those days were, I don't know, I probably would have been more, even more soaking in everything. So because we were filming, and because the suit, it's devastatingly hot at times, and you gotta rest up and conserve energy. So that makes it so that more often than not, I stay in my air-conditioned little tent that they set up where we put on the mask and makeup. And but I would have probably gone around more and talked to more people while we were filming, because everyone who came on set, they were such like people who came to work there. Everyone was so talented, the top of the line in their field, and I would have interviewed more people and gotten to know more and more about where they come from, because it's in the end it's all about the people who we worked with. And I wish I would have gotten to know more of the crew and everyone who visited the set.
That's awesome. I love that. That's appreciating the people around you and spending that time is that's a wonderful answer.
Yeah, because now when it's history, now that we've filmed these movies, I sort of think, wow, if we shared this moment. And sometimes if I don't remember, talking to someone, I feel sort of bummed out because that's another connection that we could have shared. And when we meet years down the line, it could be a fun little, a thing that brings us together.
Very cool. So moving just in that genre, in that vein of your interactions with people, there's the persona, you're actors. So how you are on set isn't necessarily how you are on film. So what surprised you most about meeting some of your fellow actors, your childhood heroes, and spending time with them and the real them, and instead of the characters that they played? What was your most surprising or interesting moment with those interactions?
I think it was the most surprising thing to me was not in the people themselves, but in the construct that we stepped in, was how big Star Wars was to everyone, and how that affected the community, like the community, sort of like for example, actors. I think everyone felt a bit intimidated coming in. Like we had John and Daisy, and everyone came in, and it was just this big franchise of iconic, legendary stuff going on every day, and I think it felt a bit intimidating to everyone. to go there. So I don't know if people were, came in as much, openness as you would if you would step into some indie film and then you become really close with everyone. But I think in Star Wars, it took a little bit longer for us to get to know each other, and for me at least. But that could also be that because no one can really understand when I'm speaking from the mask, because it sounds like this and it's really hard to make out what I'm saying. That could have also been it. But I think it was also like the vastness of the fandom and the expectations, and that surprised me, that there was such a big friction to really get to know some of my cast. It happened, of course, it happened during the 4 films that we've been a part of this, but it took a little while longer than I expected because of these reasons.
Did you have any trouble bonding with people? Were you able to make friends with your fellow actors? And I know you said when you're masked up, it's hard to understand you, but were you able to develop good relationships with your actors, things that extended maybe beyond the movie?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we stay in touch with Daisy and John, and yeah, it's a good, and Oscar, and yeah, all of them. I felt like everyone was there to. Yeah, I guess what the previous point that I was making is that it was very professional. All our directors were really, prepared, and everyone came there because it was a lot of things were at stake. So yeah, we came to work as opposed to have fun or being on a summer camp type of thing. Although sometimes it felt like that when we were having a little bit too much fun. But yeah, JJ especially brought us back into fold really quickly. But it was a lot of fun, memories working with in these huge sets pieces and with so many hundreds of people, working together for the same goal. So yeah, you definitely had to, keep a focus and do your job.
So it sounds like, though, from your talking, you'd be interested and actually eager to step into this role again if the opportunity arose.
Yeah, I would have to, I have to check my schedule. And yeah, of course. Absolutely. I mean,
you can't seem too eager.
There were days that were hard because of the heat of the suit, but definitely it was all worth it and more.
That's now that you've got these films behind you, are you still pursuing acting? I know you had said you were interested before, had been told that you might not be able to do that, and then you get these roles. Are you still looking at possibly doing more beyond Chewbacca, beyond Star Wars?
Absolutely, because hey, I'm funny. No, yeah. I am pursuing roles and hoping to, I've auditioned for a bunch of stuff, and hoping that one day, I could play another role. But it's gonna, come at some point, and hopefully I'll be ready for that challenge.
Well, and it's nice to know that so many people, so many actors have to start in small roles that nobody's ever heard of, and then slowly, gradually, 20 years later, they get a role that, oh yeah, maybe I've heard of that person, maybe, and you got to step into such iconic shoes, and so hopefully that just means that beyond this, you'll get to really feel out your acting skills, to really explore the areas that you want to. And so, I mean, I think that's you've got a good start there, and I really, really hope that continues for you. Especially if you're looking at something.
I did tell JJ when I got the role that, well, I guess I got to start somewhere. It's unbelievably ridiculous that someone as relatively inexperienced but eager gets to join this high up, you know. So it's only, yeah, everything. I appreciate all the opportunities, no matter where they are. But this one was just ridiculously high up on the list.
So I know you're taking some time away from your family to do this with us, and I can't say thank you enough. I want to get you back to them. However, before we let you go, we did talk ahead of time, and you said you would be willing to judge a Chewbacca sound-alike contest for us. So we had members from the community send in, and we have 4 potential Chewbaccas that we would like for you to listen to and tell us who you think is the best. Are you ready to go?
That's a yes.
Chewbacca number 1. Awesome, thank you. All right, let's play your 4.
Was that the first one?
No, let's. Chewbacca we should be playing 4. Oh.
Are they all good? All right. That is one hungry Wookiee. All right.
Chewbacca number 3. Chewbacca
singing
number 4.
Wookiee. That is a good one too. I don't think I heard the first one too well.
All right, who's going to play him again? Chewbacca number 1. Chewbacca number 2.
That's good. That's good. Well, maybe this second one, right? Yeah, this was a hungry. Oh God! Oh, everyone was so good. I like the singing Chewbacca.
Chewbacca number 4. Which number was that? 3?
And
that sounds like 3.
I think do I have to choose the best one?
Yes, please.
I think we should. Yeah, I encourage singing in Wookiee school, so we're gonna go with number 3 on this one.
Number 3.
It sounded like a song that I almost could recognize, so I'm gonna go with number 3.
Awesome, thank you very much. Go ahead and play number 3 for the audience. Let's see who that the winner was of that.
My name is Jacob. I'm from Indiana, and this is my Chewbacca roar.
Well, thank you so much. So Jacob has now been given the title of Best Chewbacca by Chewbacca himself.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Jacob. I mean, that was an amazing performance. I'll see you in Wookiee school.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time, spending it with us. And I just want to say too, I sent out a ton of invitations to a lot of different agents, a lot of different people. You were the one that got back and said, yes, I would love to be a part of this. You have been very supportive of the community, of the kids of St. Jude, and us, and really from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping make this event and this part of what I'm doing today just really, really special. So thank you very much, and I really, really hope you have a wonderful weekend with your family.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. A great cause, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Well, have fun, and we are going to take a look at St. Jude now for a moment, and then we will be on to talk some more with Dion. All right, we'll just go talk to Dion. So, yeah. We'll get this sorted out, and then we'll be back with Dion. Now, Dion's got another, I think it's his last ABCs of X-Wing segment that we're gonna talk with him. This next one is it features Duncan Howard versus Paul Heaver. It's our longest game that we've got so far, and very, even with cutting it down, I'm really excited to see what this contains, and what all he was able to put into this. So
did I make it on time for the Chewbacca contest? Did I make it?
You just missed it, my friend. I am so sorry.
I had an outfit and everything.
I am excited that you put that much effort into it. I appreciate the improvement, and just.
I don't think any of them. I don't know. I don't think any of them tried that hard. Man, just missed it. Anyway.
Well,
yes.
if only we'd have come to you sooner. So yeah, we've got Heaver versus Howard in this game. Now,
yeah.
What intrigues me the most is that with all of with the editing and the stuff that you've done to sort of cut these down for time, this is our longest one. Why? Why is this good enough to be this length?
So when I was talking to the players, when I was doing the editing, there is a lot of information that both of these players had, and they was talking about before we even started. So this is like just in communications back and forth, and looking at the text messages when we were going back and forth, and the voice calls that we had pre-recording. They just had a lot to say before we even got started. Like you could see the excitement there. So compared to the other ones, I actually slowed the tape down. Like it's sped up, but not sped up as much as all the other ones. And we just got a little bit more in depth. We got to chat a little bit. I mean, Duncan Howard, Paul Heaver, 3-time world champion. Duncan Howard, he's a System Open champion, national champion, and world's top cut finisher. I mean, he's just a powerhouse in the X-Wing community when it comes to competitive play. So having both of these guys on, I thought it was a great opportunity to just spend a little bit more time with them, not want to rush them out the door or anything like that. And I really enjoyed my time with both of them. And they had not had an opportunity, you'll hear us talk about it, to actually participate in a CAC event before, just because of like timing and how that would work out in the past. But it was just amazing to be able to have them be a part of this, and I know that they really enjoyed it.
That's wonderful. I'm excited to see what two top-tier players will have to say about their own performances afterwards, because nobody criticizes them as much as they criticize themselves.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know spoilers. You know what? No spoilers. It's fantastic. There is a great conversation that we have during this. Again, ABCs of X-Wing after battle commentary. It's good. It's very good.
All right. Well, let's not keep talking about it. Let's take a look at the game and see what it has to offer.
All right, hello everybody. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this game. So we have Duncan Howard here. Say hi, Duncan.
Hey everybody. I didn't die.
And Paul Heaver.
Hi everybody.
So this game was from PAX Unplugged 2019. I guess technically it happened early 2020, and we're gonna be breaking down this game. Obviously, this was if you see on the bottom left here, this was the final. But we're gonna start the game here, and it's awesome to have both you both here to talk about your game. So let's start by talking about your squad choices. Duncan, what'd you bring to this match?
Yeah, so I mean, I brought my bread and butter, just bringing. I mean, I usually bring some form of aces and support, so I just decided triple aces for this one. Ended up bringing Soontir, Crackshot, Shield Upgrade, Targeting Computer, Grand Inquisitor, Sense Fire Control, and Duchess with Predator, Fifth Brother, Afterburners. I was pretty set on my list coming into this tournament, and watching a lot of Ollie's games, and then I think, if I recall correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, they changed the format like a couple weeks ahead of time, right, to hyperspace?
Yeah, it was changed. Well, it was announced. I don't think it was changed so much as they never announced it, and people just kind of were like, "Yeah, of course it's hyper or not hyperspace," and then it was like, "Oh, it's hyperspace." Okay.
Yeah. So I was practicing with Whisper in a much smaller bid, and then I added in Duchess to make it hyperspace legal. So that's where I was at. Same maneuverability, a little more frail, fewer points.
Fantastic. And what about you, Paul?
So I'd been playing at this point the Swarm pretty regularly online and all that. I moved away from it for Worlds, but I came back to it afterwards because Triple Ace is not for me. It is for Duncan, not me. And so while I did well at Worlds with Triple Ace, it wasn't. It was way too much thought, and Swarm is much easier. Notice also Duncan got his eventual win with an 8-ship Swarm, so much easier.
This is true. Now, let's go ahead and talk about setup. I know that we started opening maneuvers. Paul, I wanted you to talk about your setup here with the Vultures. I noticed that you were pretty consistent when I was watching you play throughout this event.
Yeah, I have a fairly typical 2-turn, kind of go up the gutter setup to get them all in position, so that you have all the grappling struts on the outside ready to go. Not grappling struts, all the Discord missiles on the outside ready to go and launch into people. And Chertek was safe on the inside with enough maneuverability to dodge around. And usually on turn 3, I would bounce in and turn towards the center. And generally people were very nice and would just kind of joust into it. Obviously, Duncan was not that, so I actually had to play the game and figure out how to do things rather than just throw lasers at people and watch them explode. So yeah, you'll see. On turn 3, I actually keep going straight because I realized that turning in would not end well for me. But yeah, I use this formation all the time.
And Duncan, so I'm pretty sure you had a good idea of what Paul was going to do, at least the starting first couple moves. What were your thoughts in your placement of your ships to start?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to joust 8 ships.
What?
So usually
Why
I like
not?
to go. I know they're only two dice. I can just roll the Vades all day. Why not? Apparently, Paul did that strategy. It's fine. No, I just I had to. You have to take a 3-pronged approach. You have otherwise, if you come in at the same angle, Paul can always guess right. So you have to take a multi-pronged approach. So I started doing that here, baiting and using these clouds. Not 100% to my advantage because he has grappling struts, but you just kind of have to play around him a little bit. The gas clouds still give you a good obstacle. I knew Duchess was probably my heaviest hitter. So I wanted to kind of get her in there and do a lot of damage while the Inquisitor is there to just tank a bunch of shots.
So as we're getting into the actual engagement, maybe let's take a moment and talk about the tournament. I know it's a long time ago, but going into it, you guys both decided to bring these squads. Were there any matchups going through the event that either gave you trouble or that you were worried about with the squad that you brought? Paul, we'll have you go first.
Triple Ace was the only squad that I was worried about. Anything that has a joustable element, the 8-ship Swarm easily beat it. The Triple Ace lists were the worst to face. I don't even remember if Republic had Jedi were legal for hyperspace at this point. Maybe they did. I don't remember. But yeah, not having that is a huge deal if it wasn't. But yeah, any kind of list where I can't just joust something, anything on it. I don't care what it is. Joust something, get ahead on points, and then stay ahead is the whole purpose of the list.
And what about you, Duncan?
Actually, basically the same thing. I really didn't have a lot of opportunity to test the list, but it's just with droids, with the nature of the clock, and how easy / hard they can be to confuse.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, how hard they can be to kill. I'm sorry. Like it's just like, and you get kind of confused with the way they get mixed up. At least I do sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
there's so many of them. Like, which one is which? Which one did I do damage on?
Exactly, and you can easily one-shot one, or you can easily like take 3 turns to kill one by rolling all hits and then just roll all evades, especially with the sharing of the calculates. So I think this was actually my hardest matchup, which is funny to hear Paul say that it was his hardest matchup too, vice versa.
Cool. So right here, Duncan, you're bringing Duchess into the middle. I've seen you play a little bit. I know you like to play the bait game. Were you hoping? See right there. This is anybody who's watching. By the way, any annotations on the screen happened that day. This is our video record from that day. So here I was talking about, like, Duncan, if he wants to, he can go in and fly in. I've seen him done it, or he's baiting away. What are maybe some thoughts going into these situations? When you set up in this 50-50, what am I trying to say here? How do you make that decision of, I'm going to go in and try to punch something in the face, or I'm hoping to bait him, into a bad spot?
Well, what's funny about this situation here is that Duchess doesn't need to decide until after dials are set and all the ships move, which was pretty great. I was a little slower on the move in on here in Soontir. As you can tell, I am almost 100% not getting Soontir into combat this turn, even if I tried. I think maybe a 5 straight or like 3 bank boost barrel roll, anything like that could probably get me into range. But we have my 3-pronged approach I was talking about here. So we have the Inquisitor tucked in here behind a rock. We have Duchess. I think I dial in a 3 bank or a 3 straight. Either which I can bail out or bail in depending on how Paul turns. So obviously Paul's going to turn in. He's not going to turn in, but it depends to the degree with which he does. And I think he does the 1 hard barrel roll calculate instead of 1 hard, 2 hard, or 3 hard onto that rock and chasing the Inquisitor.
All right, Paul. So you take some damage early here, and here is the 1 hearts. Now I want to take an opportunity to talk about this, the side to side method. There's a lot of debate among X-Wing players about whether that's like the right way to play. Can you maybe just talk about like why you use it?
I mean, I've checked to make sure like it doesn't do anything weird, and it's fine. It doesn't mess with the you'll mess with the ships more by marking all of the ships ahead of him and then having him turn the correct way, and then like they'll get more off than if you just do the side to side method. Because I'm obviously practice it on your own board at home and verify that it's like less than a millimeter off, so who cares? As long as you're fairly precise on it, then it's fine.
I think also from a time perspective, I would prefer Paul just do that instead of marking everything in the way he needs to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Just because I'm fighting 2 people here. I'm fighting Paul, which is scary enough, and I'm fighting the clock a little bit because I'm down on final salvo.
Right, and that's a great transition to the next thing I wanted to talk about. One of the big strengths of the droid swarm list is the fact that it does have so many ships. Paul, I want you to talk about a little bit your maybe the natural advantage of this 8-ship swarm in a 75-minute game versus a 2-hour game.
Well, the whole purpose of the swarm is to get ahead on points and stay there, because the longer the game goes in turns, the more likely it is that your opponent's gonna catch you or do something weird, and you're gonna lose ships. Like once you start losing ships, and then the swarms has problems keeping arcs on target. Like the whole thing I want to do here is have a bunch of arcs pointed a bunch of different directions and hopefully get some damage into things. If I could half Duchess or something, then that's like 30 points I get there. That's like 1 1/2 of my ships just for having one of his. So So that's like the key thing to do, is just half one of his ships and force Duncan to have to be super aggressive when he might not want to be.
Awesome.
I thought the video was frozen there for a minute, but we were just moving very slow.
Yeah. I think at this point, just because I think Chris Allen was a judge for the event, and he was by the table, and I think you guys just had Chris move the ships here because he was on the opposite side from Paul.
Yeah, otherwise I'm stretching all the way over, and I'm not tall like Duncan, so it's super far away.
That's right. Now, Paul, let's talk a little bit about the about Chertek, right? So the platform for these guys has not really seen too much play. I know that there was a big change in hyperspace in the recent one where you couldn't take ensnare, which most people don't take Nantex without ensnare.
Yeah, there's no reason to take Nantexes without ensnare.
Do you think with the upcoming points change, whenever that will happen, which, by the way, we're right now, this is July 2020, we're supposed to get it at some point here. Do you think, because we haven't seen too much play of the Nantex, that we might see those points drop a little bit? Because the last two times they've just gone up.
That'd be cool. Yeah, there's no reason to keep them so high in points. There's very little reason to use the Nantex unless you have ensnare, and they changed tractor so that even with ensnare, it's as long as you don't throw them on a rock, they're still going to get a shot on you. So it's nowhere near as like stupidly overpowered as it was.
Right.
And it was stupidly overpowered, but it's a good change that they made it. But I would like to see the Nantex actually be worth using again.
Absolutely. All right, so Duncan, looks like you decide here to ailerons forward.
Yeah, I'm about to make my huge mistake that I was sure cost me the game.
I remember this, Paul. Oh, man.
Oh, man. I lost.
I got scared, too, because I totally forgot about Chertek. Anyway, Paul, has the Nantex been doing decently online? I mean, I figure in the meta of Boba, probably not, but I haven't kept up on any results since like February, March-ish time.
Not really.
I haven't even built a list yet. I haven't opened my squad builder in months.
Man. Yeah, no, you don't really see the Nantex anywhere anymore. You would know, Dion, with all the all these different things that I've been running online, all these tabletop simulator things.
Yeah, no,
so
Nantex are nowhere.
Nantexes?
Nope.
Yeah.
Unless I force people to take it. That's the only way. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what Chertek is doing here. So you're passing off the tractor. A lot of people don't know, especially beginner players, that you can actually use that ability to pass it to your friendly ships.
Yeah. So my thought was, I'm going to throw this guy in front of Duchess and do a 3 straight out of the buzz droid, and it's going to land perfectly on Duchess's butt. And yeah, no, it was way off. It was like 100% super far away, and I don't know why I was thinking that. I should have just kept the tractor token on my own ship, because now I threw my own ship into Duchess's Predator arc, and it was just a miserable time.
Yeah, I was like, what does Paul do? Oh, no. Once you pulled the 3 template, I was like, oh, no, and the buzz droids are coming out. I don't know if that works. And then
no.
I was like, oh, there's a ship I can blow up. I mean, keeping the tractor on your Nantex, I don't know if that would have been a great idea, because I think that gives me a pretty juicy shot at that, right?
Well, the thing is, Chertek also had that stupid other thing, treacherous.
Oh, treacherous, right.
So if you tried to shoot at Chertek, then I would have canceled one of your dice anyway, because it would have been blocked by the ship that I just threw out of the way.
Oh,
so yeah, there was really literally no reason for me to do this. And I was like, crap, I just lost the game, and there's still like 100 minutes left. But I managed to, make up for this horrible mistake. So, hooray.
So, Duncan,
I'm not mad at you for it, Paul. I want a system open too, so. With basically your list.
With droids, yeah. Oh, look at that. That was awful.
Yeah, easy money right there.
And there it is.
See, like I said, droids can go pop, or he could have just rolled 2 evades and taken almost no damage. That was one of the droids this game that went pop, which was super nice.
Now we get the shot back. I don't think you take any damage here, if I recall correctly. Natties, baby.
Nah, easy.
Still natties. It's fine.
It's the strategy.
I mean, you had an evade token too, so it didn't really matter. But
did I spend my force there either?
Nope.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
You
I had
did.
an evade token. So I was taking the droid off for 1 damage on Duchess. While not great, is not bad either.
Yeah. But yeah, you just roll natties and you're fine.
Now, Duncan, I want to talk through the process here of making a decision of where to take Duchess after this turn, right? So you had all those droids in the corner. You know that Paul is going to be bringing them in. What's your thought process there? I know that you get to react with Duchess, but let's say he turns them all into you. He's facing you. Where do you go when you have limited amount of space?
Mm-hmm. So I did consider a 3-bank to the left, in which I would do a 1-bank to the left and then 3-bank to the left, and maybe like overshoot some droids or bump into somebody. But then I looked at where Chertek's mobile arc was, and it's turned to the left. So if Paul did like a 1 hard and then barrel roll left and turned that arc right, I think I would have gotten caught.
Oh yeah, that would have been disastrous.
That
if
would
you
have been
did that.
disastrous. And I knew it was early in the game. I took the lead. I still can't afford to be dumb. And Paul was obviously going after Duchess. So I kind of just had to rely on my evade dice yet again. And with Duchess, with afterburners, you can get almost halfway across the board with a 3-bank. So I think that's what I do here: 1-bank, 3-bank, and afterburners barrel roll. I think I cleared 4 arcs on that maneuver alone.
Seems like not getting shot seems strong.
Yeah, you have to play really cagey with aces, but I like to delve deeper into my strategy as a person. I like to alternate how aggressive and how not aggressive I'm being, not like 1 for 1, but just situation dependent. You're like, oh, should I be really aggressive or should I play cagey? Because if you always play cagey, they're going to expect the cagey maneuver. Additionally, you can kind of gauge. A lot of people don't play like that, so you can. And Paul's one of them. He doesn't play like this, but you can gauge how someone's going to play based on their early maneuvers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's list dependent, right? So if someone is playing something and they shoot right out of the gate, and they continue to shoot right out of the gate and make really aggressive maneuvers, you can, with more, if it comes down to a 50-50 later in the game, whether they're going to be aggressive or cagey, you can guess they're probably going to take the aggressive maneuver.
And yeah, you can see here, this is where I set up that just in case you tried squeezing your way out this direction.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly. I think I would have bumped if, like 80% sure, 90% sure I would have bumped here if I had done anything except what I did. Like maybe a 1-bank, 3 straight, and then afterburners boost. That probably could have cleared something.
Yeah, but you're